Welcome, friends of the Greasy Shop Rag. Today we're going to take a look at an Echo HC1500 Hedge trimmer.
That's bad.
Apparently it's got old fuel in it. So that stuff didn't really smell very good. This thing's been sitting around for a while with old fuel in it. We are going to go through the entire fuel system and bring it back up to speed. We're going to try and do this for as cheap as we can. It's an old hedge trimmer. Customer doesn't necessarily want to spend a lot of money on it. And I took a gamble by saying, yeah, we could get that going. So before I really get deep into this, look how hard them fuel lines are, eh? I really need to pull that spark plug out of there and look into the cylinder and make sure that this is going to be a worthwhile repair. Because if that thing's scored and not clean and shiny, then I'm stopping right here. And I'll have to get a hold of the customer and tell him we can't fix this hedge trimmer for him. But looking inside, it turns out that it's fine. Everything looks good. We'll put a new spark plug in there eventually, and for now we'll move on with our carb rebuild. Now I say carb rebuild, but you know, this is just kind of a quickie rebuild. The goal here is more to get rid of all the parts that are old, stiff, and brittle from sitting around forever. I mean, even that fuel filter, while it is dirty, it isn't glazed over, varnished, you know, like we see a lot of times. This rubber grommet, that thing is soft and deteriorating, so that'll get replaced. Unfortunately, there's no numbers on our carburetor. I don't remember if it's an off-brand carb or if the numbers that were stamped on there just are gone.
Right.
So I do have to fiddle around a little bit, figuring out which kit I'm going to need for this. But eventually I find one.
Stripes.
And the kit has multiple choices of gaskets. Yeah. It's kind of stinky in there. You know, I gotta work on the carbs, and I gotta run up front and grab a carb kit, and every time I go up front I get cornered to do something, so you know, usually I gotta wash my hands before I go up there. This stuff all takes time, hey. If you're billing by the hour, you gotta think about all of this stuff. All the little in-between details where you're not actually fixing anything, but you are still spending time on this project and not any other project. So this is kind of a, let's call it a soft rebuild. I'm just putting in the soft parts, gaskets in this case. I don't even think I do a needle valve on this one. And the reason for that is expense, again, time. It won't take a lot longer to go through it, but when I see things like this stiff metering diaphragm and a fuel filter that's not gummed or glazed over, I just got to make the determination. Is this going to be a quickie repair, or do I have to boil it out in the ultrasonic cleaner? And sometimes making that guess can be this one's on the line. I probably could have put it in the ultrasonic cleaner and maybe had a little bit better results in the end, but in the very end, this thing's going to work fine. So we got our metering diaphragm and our pump diaphragm and our gaskets in there. we have a new purge bulb on it. But you'll notice I never took the high and the low speed jet out, never blew through there. Kind of a risky move. 2 screws, bolt the carb down. Simple stuff. Gotta love it. Now we're going to put new fuel lines in here. There's 2 ways you can do this. You can preload the grommet with all 3 lines, or you can put the grommet in like I am and then individually put each line in it. It doesn't really matter which way you do it. You can see as hard as that grommet is going in there, if it also had the bulk of those 3 lines on it, it might not go in at all. But I have done it that way. So the first one to go in is our tank vent. And I'm putting that vent in the hole closest to the bottom of the tank, farthest away from the filler opening. That way when I put the next line in, it's in front of the first line and I can easily grab it and pull it through. It's a simple, stupid little tip, but if you put the first line in closest to the filler opening, then you got to reach around it to grab the next line when you're pulling it through the grommet. Alright, this line here is going to be our main fuel line. Once we get it through the grommet, we can reach through and grab it. And you got to remember, a hedge trimmer is a multi-position tool, more so than many tools. So when you're putting this line in here, make sure that there's enough line so that it's always going to be laying on the bottom of the tank, no matter what direction they're holding this hedge trimmer. And then we'll just cut our line to length and put it on the carburetor. Sometimes getting it to push over the fitting on the carburetor can be difficult. But we got her. This next line is going to be our return line. Again, it's now the closest one to the opening of the tank, so I can just reach in there and easily grab it without having to reach around the other lines. And you see that return line is always going to be the one closest to the purge bulb on this style of carburetor. There we go. In goes our new spark plug. We'll give this thing a test run and see if it's going to go for us or not. It's taking a little bit to get it primed. Let's see if it starts. It's going to need some basic carburetor adjustments, but before we do that, we're going to put the air filter on it and make those adjustments. So that's all I got for you on the Echo HC1500 fuel system overhaul. Thanks for watching. Later.